In a distant village away from the city center, a young mother was rocking her newborn baby to sleep. The hour was late, and her husband was out working after taking one of the numerous night shifts that he was forced to feed the additional responsibility of a new baby. She was tired, so unbelievably tired that her eyes were slowly shutting when the smell of vinegar filled the air. Startled, she quickly stood up and made her way to the nearest window and opened the curtains to check. Despite the whispered warnings and tales her neighbors had shared, nothing could truly prepare her for what she saw. Her blood immediately ran cold as her gaze locked onto a horrifying sight. Just a few steps away stood the head of a woman, her eyes burning red and piercing through the night. Long flowing hair framed her face, but there were no shoulders to catch her hair. It only had a grotesque display of dangling organs suspended beneath her disembodied head. The mother quickly snapped out of her frozen terror and slammed the window shut, relieved that the spirit did not reach her in time, because if she did, her baby would have been taken away from her. Content warning. This video includes description of violence, murder, death, rituals, and other supernatural content. Listener discretion is advised, as some stories may be unsettling or sensitive to certain audiences. Turn down the lights, snuggle up tight, and get ready for another tucked tale. What happens when the line between fact and folklore blurs? Welcome to Tuck Tales, where urban legends meet true crime, and myths aren't always just stories. My name is Afrina, your host for the episode, and
my name is Diski.
But before we get into the story, I want to welcome everyone to the second season of Tuck Tales.
Yay!
Can you believe it? It's only been a few months since we started this.
I know, right? It felt so fast.
Right? But now we're already in our second season. Huge thank you to everyone who supported us and taking the time to watch or listen. You seriously have no idea how much that means to us. But let's talk about season 2. We've made some changes to shake things up and keep things fresh. Instead of dropping episodes every Thursday like we used to in season 1, instead, you'll now get 2 episodes per week. Tuesdays are all about Diski stories in Indonesian, and Fridays are my turn. Double the content, double the fun, right? And here's the twist. The last week of every single month is now reserved for one special episode. Think conspiracy theories, deep dives, random discussions, and who knows what else is going to be wild, right? We're bringing you more of what you love and we love: real-life mysteries, historical events, true crime, supernatural stories, and just about anything that's a little mysterious and tucked. To kick off season 2, we're starting with a legend that's super famous across Southeast Asia, like Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, you name it. It's the terrifying Hantu Penanggalan.
Oh yeah, I've heard about it, but I really don't know much about it too.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to hear about it.
Then let's dive in. There was once a woman extremely unhappy that her beauty is slowly but surely wilting away as she ages older in her years. She's tried everything to gain her beauty back, using the technology that obviously was present at the time. In our modern era, you could say that she's tried Botox, Lex injections, fillers, I don't know, everything else. But at that time, nothing she did could escape the chase of old age. She was just getting older. But there was one thing she didn't try yet. One surefire way that could get her what she wanted. And at a very big price that she is willing to pay. She turned to black magic and made a pact with the devil. But in turn, the devil only asked her for one thing, in request of her everlasting beauty, that she should not eat meat for 40 days. What a weird request, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it too hard? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Nowadays, we know people who do that too. It's vegetarian.
Yeah, not just for 40 days.
Yeah.
If they said I could be beautiful and then not eat meat for 40 days, I would do it.
Yeah, me
Definitely.
too.
But whether or not she was informed of the consequences of breaking it, we have no idea. But I think you can quite guess what happened to her, right? After not eating meat for days, or if not weeks, she wanted to eat it so badly. Craving it badly. So she broke her meat fast early, but in turn she was cursed by the devil himself to now become a grotesque creature with a thirst for pregnant women and newborns for some reason. And so the story goes that this woman became the ghost of Penanggal, feared by newly turned mothers all over Southeast Asia. But her story does not end there, actually. It's far from over. While she was cursed to be a Penanggalan, she was only subjected to this when it turns into a sunset during the day.
Oh, so she is human during the day.
She is. She's human during the day until the sun sets. So to outsiders, she was as normal as she could be. But being an immortal ghost of Penanggal doesn't really pay the bills, right? And more than that, now she has to figure out a way to quench her thirst for blood for pregnant women and babies. So what does she do? She changes her career pathway and now seeks to put her mouth where the food is and work as a midwife, where she would cuddle and take care of these pregnant women during the day, but when nighttime comes, she haunts them, she goes to their houses, she follows them, and she wriggles her invisible tongue into the house when the woman gives birth, draining the blood of the new mother. In some instances, she also eats the placenta, draining the blood of the newborn and feasts on the flesh of its victims. But hey, there's one thing she doesn't do though after all that, and that drains her victims entirely. She won't kill you. Not directly anyway, not directly as in draining all your blood. Instead, just like a poisonous animal, people who have been fed on by the Penanggalan will contract a wasting disease that is almost inescapably fatal. Nothing good will come out for you if you are unlucky enough to come in contact with this Penanggalan ghost. But for all the to-be parents out there, or if you know anybody who are going to be parents and just want to warn them of these ghostly dangers, if you live in Southeast Asia or anywhere else, you can avoid contact with the spirit. They said that there are several ways that you can stop the contact with them. And number one is through locking your doors, keeping your windows sealed shut, and covering any holes or seams of your house so that they can't wriggle inside the house. The key giveaway that a Penanggalan is close to you, if you want to know if there's any, is the sudden smell of vinegar. If you suddenly smell vinegar while you're walking, while you're just in the house, and you know Penanggalan is near.
Why vinegar?
Because after her shenanigans outside in the world, as she's walking as a human being, searching for blood to drain and babies to eat on, she has to go back home and she has to soak her body in a tub filled with vinegar so that her innards and her organs are shrink and they can fit into her body back.
Wait, isn't vinegar an acid? An acid when touch your injured or something, it will hurt really badly,
It will
right?
hurt. But I don't know how she does it. But in order for her to go about her day, to go to work, she has to soak herself in vinegar and shrink her organs and fit inside her own body again. But that's also one of her weaknesses, the fact that she needs to do this every single night. For those of you who are brave and proactive enough, if you encounter one of the Penanggalan, you can follow them home, trap her headless body inside a box or a glass, so that when she returns and her head tries to find her body and attach herself, she won't be able to find her body and she'll just die.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So that is one way to kill a ghost that's kind of immortal.
Just separate the body.
Yeah, just separate the body. This version of the story of Penanggalan is mostly believed in here in Malaysia. But as I've mentioned, there are many versions of the spirit itself from Indonesia, Philippines, and everything else. It's likely that the ghost is the same one as the Kasu from Laos, Up from Cambodia, Krasu from Thai, and Menanggal from Philippines. They're all associated with childbearing and birth and pregnant women. But there is another Malaysian story of origins that I want to share that is very, very interesting and can be considered one of the more famous version of the Malaysian folk tales. In the early 1800s, there was a Malay man living in a rural village that was rumored to have 2 wives. Back then, stories were rampant And superstitions and folklore ran around the village like crazy. After noticing weird things happening around the house, the man suspects that at least one, if not both of his wives, were actually Penanggalan. I'm not sure how he got that idea, but he was like, oh my god, my wives are Penanggalan. But we know that he believed this and he tried to do something about it. He faked a business trip and told both his wives that he had a conference out of town for that night. But instead of leaving for his business trip, he leaves the house only to lay hiding somewhere nearby. His wives, believing that he had gone, laid their guards down and transformed into the Penanggalan when the sun had set.
So it's true.
So he was right.
Oh.
And not just one wife, but both of them. Both of them. Once they had left the house for their hunt for babies or blood or anything, the husband returned, and upon seeing the headless bodies of the wives, in different rooms by the way, the wives lived in different rooms, he decided to do something out of the ordinary. He switched their bodies.
Oh my god. That's so out of the box way
Yeah.
of thinking.
Can you imagine seeing a body and then you just like, okay, I'm gonna switch them?
No, that's not really my reaction
It
if I were
wouldn't.
him.
I know, me too. So he switched their bodies into different rooms, and when the wives returned, it's nighttime, right? It's dark and they don't want to be suspicious. They didn't notice anything weird, and then they attached themselves to the bodies they thought were their own body. When the husband returns, he sees that each of his wives had shown up to greet him with their heads attached to the wrong body, and they never realized. There's no record of exactly what happened next, if he killed them or something. I don't know, but I just thought the story was so humorous that I had to share. Now, if you guys happen to be going into labor in Malaysia or anywhere in Southeast Asia, there are a few ways I'm gonna share to protect yourself. So they say that before labor, you should scatter thorny leaves or ask your husband to on the roof or any windows that you have in your house nearby, because it is believed that the sharp shrubbery of the leaves will trap or injure the Penanggalan's dangling organs that it flies around. Now, in some cases, families will also plant pineapple trees under their houses, as the traditional houses, they're built on stilts, so there's space at the bottom. They will plant pineapple trees, and the prickly fruit will supposedly deter the ghost from squishing its way through the floor. As an extra precaution, the pregnant woman will keep a pair of scissors or cutters or anything under her pillows, because the Penanggalan they said that she's very scared of these sharp items. And another thing, if you think or suspect that a friend of yours is a Penanggalan because they smell like vinegar all the time, you can wait until nightfall and break into their house to check if indeed their bodies without their heads are there. If your friend is still intact, congrats. Now you have the responsibility of explaining why you decided to break into their house. But on a serious note, only do this if you're 100% sure, as we in Tuck Tales definitely do not want to be responsible for one of our viewers to break into a house. Have you ever heard of this Penanggalan story before?
It sounds really similar to Kuyang from Kalimantan, Indonesia, and Leak from Bali.
Oh. I've heard about those, but I only know the Malaysian version. And for you guys out there, please let me know if there's any significant differences in Kuyang or Penanggalan or anywhere else that you live. I would love to know, and also if I should make an episode entirely on the ghost.
Oh,
or,
you should.
Yeah, or you can make one for Kuyang.
It can be a series. Actually, there are a lot of similarity between them. Kuyang, Krasu, Leak, and so many others.
Yeah, I've heard about stories that people see Penanggalan ghost everywhere, but today I just wanted to share with you guys some origin stories instead, because I thought it was interesting. And that's all for the story of Penanggalan. If you're someone who loves creepy stories based on legends, just tune in for episodes in English with me as your host on Fridays and Diskies on Thursdays. That's all. Bye-bye!